Subscribers to NewOrleans.Football get access to all of our news, analysis, and so much more. And you get to watch the live taping of every single one of these shows, ask questions for overtime, and you get the overtime segment after the podcast is over, delivered right to your members-only NOF podcast feed. So if you're not signed up, make sure you do that today. Use the code NOF, save 20% on your first payment. Go to NewOrleans.Football/subscribe, redeem that code, and get 20% off. All right, welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. We're coming to you from our studio on Veterans Memorial Boulevard, right next door to my guy, Matt Bowers. If you need a new car, make sure you check him out at one of his many locations all throughout the region. He'll get you the best prices and the best customer care. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk about the Alvin Kamara situation. What's a fair deal look like between him and the Saints? And then we're going to talk about the various things that could potentially sink the Saints season. We're going to have some updates coming to you just about our global view of the summer program. So stick around for that after this quick word from our sponsors. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Time for a new watch? Go check out Friend & Company Fine Jewelers' wide array of Breitling watches at their showroom on Maple Street. They have every type of watch that you want, and they can get you right for any type of occasion. And while you're there, check out their engagement salon. They'll make sure you find the perfect ring for that special someone. Their experienced staff offer 5-star customer care to help you find the perfect watch, ring, or whatever else you're looking to buy. Visit them today. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers, 7713 Maple Street between Adams and Burdett, 504-866-5433. Or visit them at friendandcompany.com. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show. I'm Nick Underhill here with Mike Triplett and Brandon Thomas, and it's now time for The Lead, presented by Friend & Company Fine Jewelers. Friend & Company Fine Jewelers are the official jewelers of the New Orleans Saints. Make sure you go there today. Check out their wide selection of Breitling watches. Treat yourself to one. And if you need to get your special lady something, check out the Florida Lead necklace and earrings that you now see on the screen. They are specially priced for our NOF audience.
All right, let's get into the lead topic, guys. What would a fair and reasonable contract look like for Alvin Kamara? Last Thursday, we saw him take off just ahead of practice. And on the last show, we kind of talked about what things are looking like for Alvin Kamara. The future right now looks kind of like in flux. So what would a fair and reasonable deal look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the challenge here, is that they got to try to find a way to find something that makes a lot of sense. And I think it would have been a lot easier to find that sweet spot on what made sense before the Christian McCaffrey deal, before the Joe Mixon deal. I think you set a new floor with Mixon and you set a new ceiling with McCaffrey, and I think that raised the price on Alvin. I think if you went to him last year and you tried to get this done, we got the graphic up on the screen. It says $15 million per year is the average annual value for Kamara. It's actually about 11.25, I believe, it is the actual average annual value of that, because they put in the last year of the contract just to inflate that number to get him to be the highest paid running back in NFL history at the time. But practically speaking, that's going to get thrown out. There's no guarantee money on it. You remove that, and then you do the math, and it takes it down to about $11 million per. But I think before that happened, you probably could have got him somewhere around $20 million for 2 years. I think that was probably a doable rate. He's going to be 29. I think if you did that before those two deals, it puts you somewhere right around, that Josh Jacobs number of $12 million per year. And I think that would have been a fair and balanced way to kind of do this. But now that you got those new deals, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I guarantee that the Kamara side is looking at McCaffrey. I bet the Saints are looking at the like Derrick Henry level of it, and there is a wide gulf between those two contracts.
All right, let me break down these two contracts for you. Let's throw McCaffrey out. I mean, not throw McCaffrey out. He just got $19 million a year as an extension. Alvin's been compared to him his whole career. For a long time, they were neck and neck. They play the same style of football. So obviously that's the high side. But here are two deals that just recently got done. Mixon got traded to the Texans, and they immediately ripped up his old contract and signed a new one. And the new one was 3 years, really only $25.5 million, $8.5 million per year with $14 million or $13 million guaranteed. So Mixon starting this year is getting $8.5 million per year. And he's actually a year younger than Kamara, same draft class. Derrick Henry's a year older than Kamara. He got a brand new deal this year with the Ravens. 2 years, $16 million. That's $8 million a year. Aaron Jones, same draft class, got a 1 year, $7 million deal. Dalvin Cook, still unsigned, same draft class, same age. So 8.5 for Mixon, 8 for Henry, who's got a lot more wear on the tires. Aaron Jones, $7 million. Dalvin Cook unsigned. Is Alvin definitely above all those? Is he close to Mixon? Mixon's a year younger, but same amount of years in the league.
No, Alvin's definitely above Mixon.
You got to get paid more than Mixon.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, he just off a name brand. I mean, it's Mixon's. If Alvin and Mixon were sitting there, I don't think anybody's going to Mixon first. I think you're trying to get Alvin first. I guarantee that there's no way if you're Alvin, you're Alvin's camp, you're Alvin's representatives. There is no way that you're walking in there and saying Joe Mixon. Your floor, I think, is Saquon at this point. And
your
Saquon
floor
had
can't be
injuries.
Saquon because Saquon's younger. I mean, I guess he's got more of an injury history, but Saquon, that was a brand new deal as well. Saquon just signed that deal. Jonathan Taylor
But I'm
just
saying
signed
if you're
his last
aiming,
year.
if you're aiming, you aren't even entertaining a Mixon conversation.
Okay.
If you're aiming, the lowest you are willing to lower your Drake is to Barkley. There's no way that you're going to aim any lower than that. Like, there's just no way that you're going to do that. So
Jacobs' deal is new. That's also 12. So we're saying for the Saints to play ball, for them to get him to engage, it has to be 12 in the new year. Well, he's making 11.8 this year. So you just continue at that rate, you think? Continue at that rate and give him 2 more years of it?
I think before the McCaffrey thing, they probably could have got him at a lower number. I really do. I mean, I think McCaffrey just resets the whole entire market. I just think if you're going in there, like, if you're aiming, that's where you're in that. You're looking at that top 4 range. You aren't looking at the bottom of this list. And I think you have to be above Mixon, or you. If you're the Saints, are you willing to roll the dice? I think that's really kind of the question here, because I don't think that you're getting Alvin for less than $10 million a year on average. And you could probably.
Right. I think it comes down to what they guarantee, though, because it's not about the names on this list. I mean, the names are one thing, but it's the middle column. It's age. Derrick Henry might be the best running back on this list outside of Christian McCaffrey, but he turned 30. So he just signed he became a free agent, and he got 2 years, $16 million. If Alvin goes into free agency next year, is he getting more than 2 years, $16 million?
Yeah, I think so.
You think?
I think so.
At running back?
At running back, yeah.
Like I said,
These
Aaron Jones is a free agent this year. The best he could get is 1 year, $7 million. Dalvin Cook's a free agent now. He can't get a deal.
I think Dalvin Cook's like kind of
really but is that's the problem? Alvin's going to be 30 next year.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, look, these guys are getting paid a little bit now too. I just think, practically speaking, if you want to retain him, I think that's what it takes.
All right,
like,
so
you could point at the 30 or whatever. Like, if you're going in pointing at the 30 and dropping the number, you're losing them. Like, so, like, if you are reaching a compromise, like the conversation is like, where is the money?
Well, that's what we're doing here, right?
So
we're the arbitrator, right? We're trying to look at this fairly and say, you guys want to sign a deal? How much is it worth? So I think I'm going to keep it at He's making 11.8 this year. I'm going to give him 2 more years at the same rate. I don't know if that's smart for the Saints, but I'm saying if we're the arbitrator and we're saying if you guys both want to sign it, that's what Alvin should cost.
I think
Are you
could probably
saying
get
keep him at that rate?
I think you could probably get him at that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can go down to $8 million, $7 million. I think you lose him. And I think just knowing, being around Alvin at this point, like if you do that, like I bet Alvin will be more willing to take $8 million from the Falcons or another NFL team than the Saints at that point. Because like, I don't know. It just seems like he's the type of person that would look at that and be like, yeah, I've been here. I've given you guys too much. I played on a bad offense for too long. I'm not going to do that here. But if I want to keep playing, I'll take that money from someone else and play against you.
I think the Alvin walks contract comp, like, all right, fine, I'll play 1 more year. Next year I'm a free agent. Then you're getting into, then he's 30, which is what Derrick Henry is now. And Derrick Henry, who's still highly respected, got 2 years, $16 million. So that's the fear for Alvin. That's what he gets if he walks next year. He probably gets something closer to that. So maybe we're talking.
It depends.
If you're willing to guarantee the next couple years, can you get him as low as 10 a year if you're guaranteeing?
I think it depends. Like what happens this year in this offense?
Yeah,
I think it depends. If he lights it up in this type of offense, there's a ton of teams running this type of offense, and you see what a great running back does for it. If he has a great year in this offense, like I think he's worth more than Derrick Henry. I think Derrick Henry is a little bit more.
Derrick Henry feels like he's broken down a little bit.
Yeah, well, and he's amazing at what he does, but it's kind of like he doesn't open up the possibility. Whereas if Alvin goes out in this offense, he averages 4.5 yards per carry, and he's effective in the pass game. Like there's a lot of teams that run the Shanahan that might pay him a little bit more to kind of make it go a little bit. So I think that's the risk too. But the risk for the Saints is that
obviously
they don't have anybody.
Yeah,
like if Alvin. There's a realistic possibility where Alvin, like, legitimately, we've talked behind the scenes, and I'll say this out loud now, and you can agree with it or not, but there is a belief, at least from this chair, that one day we're just going to wake up and Alvin's going to say, I'm not playing football anymore, and like that's going to be how his career ends. Like,
not because he's like bitter or angry, but just because he's got so many other interests in his life.
Yeah, he could just wake up tomorrow and say, like, I'm just going to go do this NASCAR thing and travel, and it'd be like, all right, but like I wouldn't be shocked by it. Like it's just like it feels like one of those things that could just happen. And it's not because he doesn't want to play. It's not because he doesn't.
And he does work hard. It's not that he doesn't care, but I've always gotten that impression. Yeah, one day he might be like, I'm going to a new chapter in my life.
He's just smart. Like I don't know. Like something could stimulate him, like intellectually, and that's just where his pursuit goes and his path changes. And like it could change, or I could see him just reaching a point and being like, I'm not going to risk my body for less money. Like he's just very smart. He's very aware. Like I could just see that happening one day. So there is a point where it's like, if the money, like I could just see him being like, I'm not doing this for that. Like this doesn't make sense.
So now I'm going to ask you from a Saints standpoint. So let's say, first of all, Alvin's not just taking less. He could go into the market and probably get his 10 million plus next year. So I'm looking at that Josh Jacobs 12 million number. He's younger. Saquon got a little more, 12.5. So let me say the only way, you're the Saints now, the only way you get Alvin to sign is if you offer him, you guarantee his 11.8 this year that he's already making. You guarantee him another 12 next year. And then you can have more years on the books at 12, but they're not guaranteed. Do you sign that deal? Do you guarantee his 11.8 this year and guarantee him another 12 next year to get him to sign and be happy and show up?
So I'm only guaranteeing money, and I'm guaranteeing money in 24 and 25.
Yeah, and you're guaranteeing all 12 next year.
I would probably be willing to guarantee money this year and next year because I feel like there's probably a pretty good 2-year window. But then after that, I would be concerned. Look, if I was the Saints, what I would have done is I would have drafted a running back in the first 3 rounds and continued to try to prepare for life after this. But they didn't, and I don't know. I mean, it's just. This year feels like the risk. And I think there's a lot more riding on this year than just this. You know what I mean? Like if it doesn't work, like it's just kind of, if you take Alvin out of this, I don't know how the offense works. Like that's where, like philosophically, I'm always like, I'm drafting a running back every 3 years and nobody ever gets a second contract. Like that is truly what I think of the position, but like that isn't the situation right now. Like the guy they drafted isn't making it go. He doesn't look like he's ready to do it. And I feel like if you take Alvin out of this...
You can't lose Alvin this year.
You take Alvin out of this, the whole entire thing collapses. And I would be a little bit worried about it not paying him and just kind of what the atmosphere is too. Like I'd be a little bit concerned about that.
Here's my problem from the Saints standpoint. I want to sit here and say, if I'm running the Saints, I pay him for this year, and I keep my options open next year because we're resetting the salary cap. The roster needs to get younger. I don't know if I can afford to spend money on running back as much as I love Alvin. I'd rather draft a cheaper running back. That's a position where I'd be willing to go cheap. But Alvin's forcing the issue now. He's not giving me this year. And which is why that's the leverage he has in this situation is I would feel comfortable saying, Alvin, this is it. Last hurrah. We'll see where we're at next year. If you want to come back, if we want you back or whatever. But we can't guarantee we're going to pay you beyond this year. But he's forcing the situation, and this team needs him this year.
He does have that little bit of leverage. Yeah, the ideal way to do this would be, and you'd be taking a risk doing this too, because I really do think if Alvin's physically where I actually believe he is, I think if you get him in a better offense, the numbers go up, and then he probably does end up costing a little bit more. He creates a little bit more value. But ideally, like you've set up this contract to where you're riding it right up until he's 30.
Yeah.
And like
they did.
There's a lot of metrics that tell you that 30 is that number. But I do believe that Alvin probably has a few more years left on him. He takes incredible care of his body. Like if we're just gonna have the fair and balancedness of this, like there's roles and then there's always like a little bit of leeway with every bit of role. Like I feel like he's one of those guys that's gonna go right up to it. I don't think that he's just gonna like immediately fall off a cliff. Like I feel like you're gonna see like a little bit of a decline. But look, they've done these contracts before, and I think they're probably on the right side of it with DeMario. With Tyron, I think they were on the wrong side of it with Cam. It was the same theory on all of them, though. It was the same theory on all of them. That there's a little bit of runway
keep him
left.
happy because we're not ready to move on yet, so we're going to give you a little bit more. You're kind of willing to have we overpaid for the last bad year. That they have been willing to do that with the other guys.
I think the thing you were hitting on where like if you want to keep him, you want to keep it going, you want to keep the season happy. If you could just tack one more year on it and just keep going,
all of
and
next
just keep
year.
it just basically be like, all right, we're gonna have one more year to it. Like if we woke up tomorrow and they said Alvin Kamara signs, 1 year extension, we'd probably be like, all right, that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be like anything
as
that would
long
have
as
like
the guaranteed money is really only 1 year. And I bet Alvin would require guaranteed money that goes into 2026. Now it might be walk away from money. Like I said, he's making $12 million next year. Maybe they have to give him $16 million guaranteed, $14 million guaranteed, so that if they do cut him, it hurts a little bit the year after that or something like that. So would you do it? Would you do it to make everyone happy? Would you guarantee $15 more million past this year?
What I would probably do is I'd probably try to get like this year, next year, and then have something tied where I have to make the decision after this year on the third year. Like so where you tie in.
He knows going into next year if they
that could be
locked it in or not.
Yeah, and it would just a decent maybe like $4 million or something. Just something in there on the last year. Like so I know if I'm Alvin, I'm just like, okay, I'm getting this and then I'm walking away. Like, or if they walk away, like I'm getting this. I know, just so I know what's happening with my future at that point. Like I would want to have that knowledge. The thing with the Saints is that they probably wouldn't want to do. I don't know. It's just because a year from now you're staring down the same barrel.
They're not a team that should be spending on a 30-year-old running back. But Alvin's we spent 2 shows talking about him because Alvin's different. Alvin's not a running back.
I would do it though. I think I would do it because it would give me 1 more year of runway. Like I think this season's going to be fine. If next year, he has an injury, he's 30, if all that stuff, like if he hits and I do not believe he's going to hit the cliff like that, but if he hits the cliff, at least I know after this year, like I'm doing something, and if it's not Kendre, like I absolutely have to invest some type of 2nd round pick, early 3rd, into just really making sure I got this settled.
Right. And speaking of guys his age, his draft class that kind of fell off a cliff, Jamal Williams is the same age, and he's not a proven part of the solution either. Like he's got way less mileage, but you can't count on him to fill that.
Well, let's roll into our next segment presented by Shawbear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Nick, you alluded to it, and Mike, you too, on your point that Alvin is kind of like a linchpin on this for this offensive system to work. Now let's go through the pressure points that could break the season. We've seen OTAs, we've seen rookie minicamp, we've seen minicamp, we've seen kind of how this thing is going to work. Now let's go through some scenarios where if it doesn't, it will break the whole season. Let's start off with you, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Alvin's top of the chart there.
He wouldn't have been 1 week ago. If this was the segment a week ago, we didn't think about it.
If he ain't signed to the team, like and Lattimore would have been on there, and I'm like kind of pushing him off to the side a little bit. It feels like that's settled, at least for now. For me, I think Chase Young is one. If Chase Young is a 0, I think your season is nothing. I don't think he's going to be a 0 on the stats sheets. I think he's going to have some stats, but if he doesn't, I think that's one of the things that kind of seriously lowers the ceiling on the season.
Yeah, I mean, mine is still the same one we've been talking about since January 1st, February 1st, March 1st, April 1st, May 1st. It's. I still don't know. I believe in the offensive line and the run game. I believe in Klint Kubiak, Rick Dennis, and John Benton a lot more than I believe in the 5 guys starting on the offensive line, and a lot more than I believe in the running backs, especially if there's any chance that Alvin Kamara is not going to be part of it. If this is still going to be a bottom 5 rushing offense in the NFL, they're going nowhere this year. I believe the offense will fix that. I have not gained confidence in the personnel. Like, I'm not more confident in Trevor Penning than I was a month ago. I'm less confident in the running backs because we've actually seen Kendre Miller look like he's taken a step back, and now we've got question marks surrounding Alvin Kamara. So that's my number one, everything associated with that. That has to get better. That's nothing else is worth talking about if they don't get that better. But it should be. I felt really good when they brought in this offensive system.
I was going to go with a broad answer and just say injuries, but I think inside of like just the inner mechanisms of the team to work, miscommunication. We can't have the team can't have miscommunication on the offense because that's what kind of held them down in the beginning of the last year. The receivers and Carr weren't on the same page, so things weren't happening. So I'm going to go with miscommunication.
My next one, and it touches on the first thing you said. I think injuries specifically, but boiling it down to one guy, I think if Tyron misses any games this year, and he's missed one game since 2017, just the depth at safety, if you take Tyron out of that picture for any amount of time, like I think that's a dangerous situation there. So I think Tyron being available and being able to play like is a huge thing for them. Otherwise, you're at Howden and Abram, and I would not feel good about that combination, regardless of how good the cornerbacks are.
Well, Derek Carr's number one on that list. Obviously, that goes without saying for every NFL team. My next one is Chris Olave, though. I hate the wide receiver and tight end depth on this team. Like, if everybody shows up and plays, you've got just enough. If Chris Olave is gone, you've got the saddest group of pass catchers in the league, I think, because now you're taking Juwan Johnson's entire training camp away from him, possibly, and he already needed to sort of overachieve. You're asking Rashid Shaheed to be special as a young player who's still developing. You're asking A.T. Perry or Cedric Wilson or Equanimous St. Brown to be more than they've been. I feel like if this team doesn't get its 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns from Chris Olave, it's in real trouble.
My next one would be not matching intensity, playing down the competition. There are games on the schedule that if they don't play up to the competition or play above what they're expected to play, they're not going to win. So I think that's key in winning some of these closer games like the Falcons game and different things like that. I think they need to play up to competition and play above competition.
Just kind of touching on yours, like my next one was going to be A.T. Perry. I mean, it's just he has to be wide receiver 3. Or I think they're in serious trouble kind of quick. And then my last one on my list would be I think they got to get better defensive tackle play. Like I don't know that they have good DTs. It might be a position in need still at this point. I don't like their nose tackle situation. Like I think you need somebody with just more stature at that spot, like literal, actual physical stature at that spot.
To flip it around the way you're doing it, I think we're counting on Brian Brzee to be super special. Like every time I don't like the tackles, I'm like, well, they do have the first-round pick from last year, so the other guys can kind of mix and match and fill it in, and Nathan Shepard here and Colin Saunders.
I'm talking about a nose.
Like right. But if Brian Brzee's not special, then you don't have anything at either defensive tackle spot that you can count on.
And finally, for me, you said Tyron. I think it's DeMario. He had to will himself to play last year. He had to do everything it took to get that knee right to play against Jacksonville. And I think if he doesn't play, even though you have Willie Gay and Pete Werner, 2 people that can be starters, DeMario is kind of the heartbeat of the team in the team huddle and different things like that. So I think he'll be one of the key pieces that if he's missing,
would take a lot of wind out of the sails. For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to hit a quick break. When we come back, we're going to spend a little money, see what's happening on the team, and then we'll hit our Martin's question of the day. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable, and they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000.
Are you tired of renting and ready to own your dream home? Contact Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, your trusted source for home loans. Our competitive rates and flexible terms can help make your home ownership dreams a reality. If you're a first-time home buyer or looking to refinance, our experienced lenders are here to help. Our online application process allows you to apply on your schedule. It's quick, easy, and convenient. Visit us online at jeffersonfinancial.org to learn more. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Welcome back to our studio on Veterans Memorial Boulevard. It is now time for our next segment presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Question: if you had $5 million to spend and could add to one position, which position would that be?
So I restructured Taysom Hill's contract. I got this money to play with.
That's right.
Yeah, look, I've been looking at this list since they did that, wondering if they had something in mind. We wondered, and my answer is I would spend that money on a tight end until you look at the tight ends who are available. It's the most picked through list of position players in the entire league. It's not even worth mentioning. They're Jimmy Graham's number one on one of the lists I looked at. Jeff Swaim. So do you fill that receiver gap? I mean, Michael Thomas is my favorite guy to fill that gap. He's obviously not an option. They just brought in Russell Gage, took a look at him. He didn't stand out. Hunter Renfrow maybe adds one thing to the mix, but he's not the big physical pass catcher. So I'm still probably looking at the offensive line. I think it's all health with these guys. I think obviously David Bakhtiari, I don't know exactly what Donovan Smith's situation is. I don't know when Connor Williams is supposed to be able to play, but if I'm spending $5 million, it's on a starting right tackle or a starting left guard. I don't know that I'm spending that on anyone else. I mean, I don't need just another guy at defensive end. We have a lot of them. Is there a defensive tackle who immediately makes me better there? I like Justin Simmons at safety, but I don't. They already chose not to spend money at that position. I guess it would be a right tackle or a left guard. Connor Williams or Donovan Smith if they're passing physicals now. I don't know. Where are you at, Nick?
Maybe. I don't know that anybody you can get there really kind of changes your reality too much. I'm looking at a best available tight end list, and Jimmy Graham is at the
number one.
Top of the list. So I don't know. You could bring Jimmy back. I wouldn't mind having Jimmy back for just to make those red zone catches if he doesn't really cost anything. I think that'd be a fine spot. For me, I think it's still just, I don't know, if you can get that big guy on the inside on the defensive line, I think that's where you can actually make like real impact. Like, is Al Woods still on side?
Oh man, that would be the ultimate makeup call since they cut him as a rookie. Like, is he 14 years ago?
Is he still viable? I see he played 6 games last year, 14. Like, I haven't done a lot of homework on these guys. Lawrence Guy's out there. I don't know if maybe there's somebody that could do something. But that's probably where I would probably look. I mean, I don't think you're making huge impact, but I feel like I feel like you could probably spend a very small amount of money on the interior D-line and actually feel like you're getting some type of return on it. Specifically, just really just on first down when you know they're on it.
Am I making it up? Didn't Kelly Campbell just sign with someone last week?
I think so.
But then did it not go through?
Was it
I
Miami?
keep seeing him on these lists. But he's not necessarily the nose.
Yeah, I think it's the Dolphins. I think he signed with the Dolphins.
I don't know. I don't know how many difference makers who would cost that are like
That's the thing.
Justin Simmons. I mean, Hunter Renfrow at this point is going to take a veteran minimum deal. I've heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Adams obviously has some issues going on. There's still a couple. I mean, Xavier Howard's still out there. Dalvin Cook's still out there. Just replace Alvin with Dalvin Cook and say, no, just kidding. Just kidding. Stephon Gilmore's still out there. But the corner's Patrick Peterson's corner's the last position they need. That's where the names still are.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with. Cornerback.
Really?
Just need some veteran depth. Yeah, safety or cornerback. I think you need.
Cornerback. They got 4 of them.
Corner.
Nah, but you could have people switch positions.
I don't even know. I think they only take 4 into the season, and they got them all.
Okay.
And that Ugo with your flexibility. I don't know. Hey, look, it's your list.
It's
your
$5
list.
million. So
Hey,
you gotta.
You add Stephon Gilmore to this team, you find room for him, sure.
You
To
can
do what though?
I don't know.
but safety help, veteran safety help.
Save,
but
I can see safety.
veteran safety help is also.
When is
needed.
Connor Williams healthy? That might be my answer. He can play left guard, but I think he's way behind. He's missed so much time. He's like a mid-season helper, I think.
Kind of building on that, what's your heat index on the team after seeing these spring practices? Like, where do you think? Is it higher, lower, same?
I think I'm a little. Alvin took so much wind out of it.
And
If Al-
Juwan in the same week. I know, but they didn't have a backup plan for Juwan, so.
I don't know that Juwan changed my reality of it.
Yeah.
Really, I didn't know what to expect from him.
Yeah.
Alvin's situation kind of takes a little bit of wind out of it. I would say I was like a loose 9, and I'm a firm 9. Now I think I feel like firm 9 win team.
I was a firm 8, and they didn't improve my opinion on them because all the good stuff that I liked about the last 5 weeks was already what had me at 8 already, which was the offense. But, I mean, I've loved how much everyone's buying into it. I've loved everything we're seeing. I loved everything we're hearing. It has increased my confidence that this is the right offensive system and that everyone's buying into it. But I already felt pretty good. That's what made me feel good about an 8 and 9 prediction already. So I'd say I stayed the same. Alvin took a little of the wind out of my sails, but I still think he's going to play on this team this year. If the contract talks break down and Alvin's about to be a free agent next year, he needs to have a good year and
good body of work
on the way out the door, you know?
And that's why I'm higher. I think with the accountability on the offensive side of the ball, Alvin even if he doesn't stay past this point, he needs to put together a body of work that shows, hey, I can stay healthy and really like add on to a team. I think that'll move me from 8 and 9 to 9 and 8. But
Yeah,
it's just early, summer optimism.
Yeah, like I felt good about the offense too, and then like you actually like see it and you hear it and you feel it and you see what they're doing with Taysom and you see their plan for everything. Like it firmed it for me. Like it makes it feel more like you have the theory of the track and then you see the track and it's kind of like you actually it looked how it was supposed to look and probably even better. Like it exceeded expectations and I had high expectations already. So but look, it's easy to feel good about everything right now. But I thought it did what it needed to do.
As the answer to a lot of things in these times, like with the spring practices, we're gonna find out when the pads come on. But definitely, I think the points that we made today are solid in where we think the trajectory of the team is. Well, now it's time for our Martin Wine Experience question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of handpicked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more than just wine. Today's question comes from GoDJ21. What do you think is the best way for Klint Kubiak to maximize the tight ends?
I want to defer to Nick on this one because he studied a lot of the other Shanahan-Kubiak offenses so intently. It's funny. I think we've talked a lot about how this system might be able to mask less quality on the offensive line. Ideally, that it can by through the system that they run. Do you think that's also true of tight end?
I mean, to some degree, like I don't think it's dependent on it though. Like some of the teams running this offense have bad like Miami doesn't really use their tight ends.
They
Like
shipped one out of town.
Yeah, San Francisco obviously does. Houston was okay there. Like it's easy to kind of picture like Juwan getting a lot of yards. Like we saw a lot of like bootleg action. Like it's kind of easy to see him kind of running that crosser and getting open out of 12 like on stuff like that. But I think a lot depends on him. Like if he's not, up to speed or whatever, like early in the season, the best way to maximize the tight ends is by throwing to a different position, like maximizing a different position. I don't lean into it if I don't have it there. I do think Foster's probably going to be better this season than he was a year ago. I think the system helps him a little bit, but I think this offense is going to be able to play to its strengths. And you look around the league and like those are just two. Miami and San Fran are just great example. Like Miami maximizes their receivers in a way that the 49ers don't. The 49ers use their tight ends and they use their receivers in a way that Miami and Houston don't. Like there's different ways to go about it. So I don't think that you have to just kind of jam anything into a certain type of hole. Like I think that the idea of this is to be smart enough to play to your strengths.
And one thing that we will see is I think we'll see more of a tight end fullback hybrid than we've ever seen. I mean, Josh Hill did it a little bit out of necessity. They just had him play a second position. But, I mean, how many times did we see Taysom Hill start in the backfield and end up motioning into the tight end position and then catching a pass in the flat? Like, I think Taysom's going to catch twice as many passes as he ever has with the Saints in whatever that exact role is. And if Dallin Holker makes this team, he could also be a hybrid fullback tight end. If why am I drawing a blank on the guy they got from San Diego? If he makes his team, I think he'll be more of a pass-catching fullback than we've seen in the past.
Xander Horvath.
Xander Horvath. So I think that is a way that Klint Kubiak's offense, even if it's not quote-unquote maximizing the tight ends, it may have, the F position be a position that catches more passes than this offense has before.
For our live viewers, we appreciate y'all for stopping in for today's episode. Overtime is next. And if you're not subscribed, NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Get locked in. Overtime is next. Catch you next time.